Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Laura with the real Laura B. Tea time. This is another deep dive from the Unsealed documents. So this is an Unsealed series. This is going to be, I tried to make this into two videos. I want to do one about Whitney and one about Jennifer Howell, but they really depend on each other. So I couldn't figure out how to do that. So that's what I'm going to be touching on today. I know the media did report a little bit on this part about Jennifer outing Whitney, but this is going to be more of a deep dive and hopefully it won't be too long. So I appreciate you coming in, grab something to drink, and let's get started.
Hi, I'm Laura, also known as the real Laura B from Twitter, and now here on YouTube. I'm a researcher, new wave internet media, and commentator. I'm not a lawyer nor offering any legal advice. Join me on a journey to review the world of celebrity lawsuits and current events. Let's get started.
Well, I think we should get started because there's a lot to cover. I'm going to be starting with some of the motions in limine, which is basically what I understand from uncivil law is these are objections that are objected to before trial happens to avoid the jury hearing any part of a statement before you object, and also not to take up time in the courtroom. Let's get these hashed out ahead of time. So that's what this one is about. Let's start with what Elaine filed. She's saying this is in the section of plaintiffs should not be allowed to introduce evidence relating to the irrelevant personal matters because any probative value is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice and the likelihood of confusing or misleading jury. I'm not going to read all of this. We know this is the part about Amber Heard's her photos or who she dated or whatever, but there is a section I'll read that Amber Heard's sister alleged reality video is likely to confuse or mislead the jury by focusing on third-party relationships, not the relationship between Amber Heard and Mr. Depp. They don't want this reality video to come in. The video likely would unfairly prejudice Amber by minimizing the grave domestic abuse allegations at issue. Third, Amber and Whitney's past relationships would be distracting and confusing because those relationships have no bearing on the relationship between Mr. Depp and Amber Heard. Any conflation of relationships would cause unfair prejudice. And post-separation alleged affairs likely would mislead and cause confuse a jury because affairs have no relevance to findings of domestic abuse. In addition, affairs likely would provoke negative emotional connections, at least for some jurors, causing unfair prejudice. Well, that probably would have been possibly Elon Musk, but of course, James Franco because of his past. But I'm concentrating more on Whitney here. Why do you think they might have wanted Whitney's past relationship in? When we know what they want the video in. Well, probably because of a declaration that they received, a declaration of Vince Joilvette. I declare under penalty of perjury. This following is based on my personal knowledge and true and correct. I'm a producer of films such as The Sound and the Fury, In Dubious Battle, and Child of God. These are three of the hundreds of films that I and a staff of many people tirelessly made for James Franco at Rabbit Bandini Productions. We have all since thankfully moved on. In 2016, we shared offices with the charity, the Art of Elysium. At the time, Whitney Heard was working there. Whitney and I became friends and then dated in the summer of 2017. She was an extremely hard worker, smart, easy to talk to, and nice. So they did date. So that's the past relationship. During a conversation we had in the spring of 2016, I asked Whitney why she had moved in with Jennifer Howell, the founder of the Art of Elysium, and who lived 2 floors above my office. She relayed to me a story about having to stop her sister, Amber, from Johnny, and in the process, how Amber almost kicked her down the flight of stairs. Now, this is what was posted to social media way back in the day, and I'm not sure who X'd it out, but I think it came from Adam Waldman. So basically, Whitney told the story to her prior relationship, Vince, and that's probably why they wanted to get this potentially get this declaration in. Now remember, these were objections being made before trial. We don't know what Johnny Depp's team ever intended, as Vince was never on the witness list. That's interesting. In addition, we have a transcript of Whitney where they're asking about prior violence, and I hate that Elaine did this highlighting on her transcripts, or whoever in her office did, because it makes them really impossible to read. They had already discussed with her about Amber's car or potential car accident, or that her friend died, but we'll move on to something else. And they want to know is, did you ever fight with your sister? And they're asking Whitney. She goes, and again, this is on another broad question, but I'll ask it anyway. What types of things would you argue with her about? Silly things in retrospect, like who borrowed whose jacket, or I can't remember arguing about anything significant especially when we were first living together. Question, and now you know, broadening it beyond just the time when you were living together, when you were very young, in any arguments you've had with Amber over the entire period of your lives, has she ever been physically violent with you? We have an objection, of course, and go ahead, and she answers it, no. She's never hit you, Whitney, no. She's never slapped you, Whitney, no. She's never thrown anything at you, no. Have you and your sister, Amber, not spoken for a period of time because you had a fight or a disagreement? Yes, there were periods of time when we weren't on speaking terms and we weren't as close to one another as we might have been previously to an argument or disagreement. How many times can you remember there was a hiatus, of communications between the two of you? And I guess we jump pages. So we'll go on to Jennifer Howell. Didn't you tell Jennifer Howell that you were worried that, quote, Amber was going to kill Johnny? No, she says. Question. Didn't you tell Jennifer Howell that you endured, quote, that kind of abuse your entire life? First from your father and then from Amber? Unquoted. Answer. Whitney, I never said I suffered any violence at the hands of Amber. We did talk about my father, but I never said I was subjected to any violence because of Amber. So, Whitney, I never said that. So Jennifer's, Miss Howell's just making all these things up. Is that your testimony? Whitney, I honestly don't know why she's saying these things that she's saying. I can only speak to that I've told her in the past. I can't speculate as to why she's saying that she's saying now. Question, didn't you call Ms. Howell that your sister Amber was extremely violent? Didn't you tell her that? I've never said this. Wow, that's interesting. So that's her testimony on Jennifer Howell, that she never said these things. Now, we heard her testify in the UK that she had moved into her boss's apartment and was sleeping on the couch. And Jennifer, of course, says that's what spurred her into getting involved. So we know that Whitney lies and gets caught in lies. But let's take a quick look at this.
You do it.
Did you get in a fight or something?
Oh, thank you. Got into an altercation.
Oh.
I already talked about it. I won't talk about it anymore.
I can't believe Amber beat your ass. I know you could beat her ass.
We're not going to talk about that.
Whitney, truth or dare? Okay, did you really start the fight with your sister, or did she start it? For real, for real, for real.
We're not going to talk about that.
She really did whoop your butt.
Oh, we're not talking about it.
Yeah, I'm done. I guess I'm done talking about it.
So I remember hearing all of this. I should say reading all of this when Nick Wallace was live tweeting it, and they did not want Whitney to know ahead of time that they were going to show this video. They wanted to keep her from being able to talk to her sister and not get on her phone at all. So they did show her this, and she, of course, denied it all. But the question was, in the U.S., in the limine, was Amber ever violent with you? So let's go back and see what she says in the UK. And question about how reliable her testimony is. Let's go see. Let's start here. You have just thrown in something that Mr. Depp was being violent with others. Well, because he asked me for clarification. Yeah, she's decided that at this point she testified that she had seen Johnny be violent with other people, never with her sister. And that's a blatant lie. That didn't happen. Have you witnessed your sister be violent to others? No, we tussled as kids when we were children, but no, I have not seen her be violent with anybody. You tussled as kids, correct? Not as adults. She's not hit you? No. Are you sure about that? Yes. Are you frightened of your sister? Whitney, not at all. This is from the UK testimony. Are you in any way cautious or wary of her? I'm not afraid of my sister. Right. So then finally, in relation to your account, what you have said and what I've gone over in several times, do you agree that the violence that you allege you saw Mr. Depp indulging in was punching her in the face after she got past you? Sorry, what are you saying? You were between them both when she came from behind, correct? You were essentially shoved out of the way and then he hit her in the face. I was not shoved out of the way entirely. I was still there. But you were still there, but you were no longer in between them. I was still in between them, Whitney says. You were? I was not completely removed, Miss Laws. Finally, the reality of the incident I have put to you several times, but the end took place because Travis McGivern was trying to and managed to get Mr. Depp out of the building and away from your sister, is it not? He did remove Mr. Depp from the property, yes. Miss Laws, she was throwing things at him, was she not? Whitney, not true. Including a can of something, a purse? Not true. She didn't have those things on her. She was in her pajamas, her PJs. She was nowhere near any of her belongings. She was in a little office, unclear. She doesn't even drink Red Bull. Well, that was an interesting outburst right there. Because if you recall, in Judge Nichols' report, in his judgment, he specifically said, took Whitney's words verbatim, she couldn't have thrown a purse at her. She was in her pajamas, and she doesn't even drink Red Bull. Out of nowhere, the judge completely relied on Whitney's testimony. Craziness. And Judge Nichols says, just a minute, because he's making a note of that. Miss Laws, the only person with any injuries after that incident was Mr. Depp. Was it true? Was it not? Whitney, not true. Miss Laws. There was a March 2015. This was in March 2015. It was not long after that you and your sister had a row and you left Eastern Columbia building. Is that correct? Yes. Roughly. I'm not sure of the dates. Yes. Then there's another part of your statement in which you are, I would suggest, desperately trying to assist your sister in relation to another incident of alleged violence. It's in relation to December 2015 incident. So if I could take your statement out, if you still have it in front of you. Yes. This is the incident where at this point you explain, perhaps I should read it out to remind you, towards the end of 2015, things had gotten worse in our relationship, their relationship. As I explained, there was a long period in 2015. Amber and I weren't really on speaking terms in December when this incident took place. The reality was they were both accusing you of it, which is why you fell out, is it not? Whitney says, sure. Question. However, and she's reading from her statement, however, I do remember going over to the Eastern Columbia building around the time to collect some of my things. I remember imagining the kind of force it would take to do that because it was such a heavy and solid frame. She's referring to the splint off the bed frame. Now, that was in Condo 4 where she stayed when she was there. It's a big platform bed, big, huge oak around the mattress where Johnny had supposedly splintered off a piece of wood, which we saw the knife in the bed in the photos. Anyway. I remember imagining the kind of force it would take to do that because it was such a heavy and solid frame. I don't remember exactly what day it was, but it was on or around December 15th. I wasn't speaking with Amber. I didn't raise it. Ms. Waz continues. So in your statement, some 4 years later, how was it that you were able to find the date of December 15th from any of your texts or messages or photographs? Where did you get that date from? Whitney, I recalled seeing what I saw when I wrote in my statement. The date only came from after the fact that Amber and I reconciled. We talked about the incident afterwards. Whitney, Amber and I reconciled, and we had many conversations after the fact. Miss Laws, you had conversations about how you would support her in your witness statement, did you not? Whitney, I disagree with that statement. Question, you had been away from the Eastern Columbia building for over 6 months. We've established that. By December, that is correct, is it not? Sure. And you were not speaking to either Mr. Depp or your sister. We have established that, have we not? Yes. So there would have been no reason for you to have popped back to the Eastern Columbia building to collect any of your things that you had. This is not true. If I may finish, to collect any of your things that you had left there some 7 months earlier, is there? Whitney, when Johnny kicked me out, I was sleeping on the couch in my boss's office. I could not bring all my things then when I moved out. I had to go back occasionally to pick up my things. I did have a reason for being there. And there it is. And that's the statement that set Jennifer Howell off in Los Angeles when she heard about this and was like up in arms. What do you mean you were sleeping on my couch in my office? I opened my home to you. I gave you my spare room, but we'll come to that. Miss Laws, what you have done in this paragraph is add a rather dramatic detail of your own in order to support your sister, have you not? Whitney, I disagree. I'm telling the truth. Question. Perhaps to enliven it up, perhaps to liven up by referring to blonde hair and blood being stuck in the splinter on the bed frame. Whitney, that's what I recall seeing. Miss Laws, nobody else has mentioned that and you have sat through the evidence. She was sitting up in the gallery through this entire court time. Whitney, I can't speak to that. I don't know why that is missing from theirs. I can only tell you what I recall. You're lying, are you not? I am not. Is there a reason why you keep looking up to the public gallery for your sister for your evidence? No. Can I move on then to Coachella weekend? And this is the person that Judge Nichols relied on, that Amber couldn't attack Johnny because she was in her PJs. Not one person testified there was blood and hair in that bed. Not one person. So that's a lie. An absolute lie. And right away, Jennifer Howell jumped up, contacts Adam Wallman and says, hey, this is a lie. This isn't happening. So we jump forward now back to the limine, where Elaine Bradehoft is trying to stop any testimony coming in from Jennifer Howell. And we'll start from there, and then we'll now support why Jennifer was so important. The testimony and prior statements of declaration of Jennifer Howell should be excluded in their entirety. Plaintiff listed Jennifer Howell as a person with knowledge of the claims and defenses in this case in response to defendant's first set of interrogatories. But after deposing Ms. Howell, it became clear that she had no direct knowledge of any claims or defenses in this case. And her testimony is completely based on hearsay and hearsay within hearsay, and is irrelevant and more unfairly prejudicial than probative. Ms. Howell's testimony does not satisfy any exemption to the hearsay rule. Now, one exemption of the hearsay rule is a spontaneous exclamation, and therefore should be excluded from evidence pursuant. Plaintiff has designated portions of Ms. Howell's testimony where she described Whitney Henriquez, her sister, speaking on the phone in another room with an unknown person, and Ms. Henriquez then telling her that the person had said Amber had cut off plaintiff's finger. These allegations are based on hearsay, are also described in Ms. Howell's declaration submitted in this case and her witness statement submitted in the UK, whereas plaintiff has pointed out different evidentiary rules applied. This game of telephone also constitutes hearsay within hearsay under Rule 2805. And there are no exceptions to either the alleged statements for the unknown caller or Ms. Henriquez's statements. The testimony should be exclusive. Plaintiffs designated another portion of Ms. Howell's testimony where she describes an incident involving Amber throwing a glass of wine at her sister. And also in Howell's declaration, Howell's witness statement. Ms. Howell also testified that Ms. Henriquez told her that Amber beat her throughout her whole life. This account, again, solely based on the alleged conversation she had with Ms. Henriquez, and is once again based on pure hearsay. Ms. Howell never witnessed any abuse by Ms. Heard against anyone. In addition, evidence of Ms. Heard's alleged abuse of her sister is completely irrelevant to whether Ms. Heard suffered abuse by Mr. Depp by any means, and more prejudicial than probative, and should be excluded. Well, Johnny did claim that Amber abused him. Defendant testimony also tells a tale of how defendant had pushed Ms. Henriquez down the stairs when she was trying to stop Ms. Heard from attacking Johnny. Again, her knowledge of this incident is based solely on the alleged conversation with Ms. Henriquez. It is hearsay without exception. Ms. Henriquez's alleged attempts to contact her about the UK litigation are likewise hearsay and completely irrelevant to litigation. She's going to go on to testify, but this is what's important to us. So they're trying to stop Jennifer from giving any evidence in Virginia. And apparently what they needed to do was to get Whitney to make a statement, and then they could use in her testimony and use Jennifer Howell to rebut Whitney. And that's what they endeavored to do. But continuing with this limine, let's see what some of the options are. What the deposition is that Elaine is fighting against. And it's a bit long and a bit hard to read. So bear with me, because she has a bad habit of highlighting stuff. It makes it hard to read. Oh, my stomach can't. I hope you can't hear my stomach. Anyway, here we go. So this was taken February 26, 2021. And this is going to jump around page-wise. So we'll just do the best we can. So is your understanding that the finger incident happened at the same time as the dog incident, in which the dogs are illegally in Australia? Jennifer Howell. I believe it was before that. All right, Jennifer. And that's where I was trying to come up with the timeline. And there's so much that was said in the time. It was constant. So that's where I've always said on dates, I'm just trying to be honest and give you what I know as possibly as I can. So I don't know the exact date. So March of what year? It would be 2015. And I hate that I'll lane highlights like this, but there's nothing we can do. Okay, now you also said that Whitney gave you a blow-by-blow of how the finger was cut off. Do you recall saying that? Yes, ma'am. So tell me exactly what Whitney said in the blow-by-blow of how Amber cut off Johnny's finger. She came back in from whoever she was talking to out in the hall. She was still very upset, and she was like, she apparently threw a bottle, his fingers off, and they've rushed him out. She said in kind of a state of panic. So to be honest with you, because she was so upset and didn't know what to do, and yeah, I mean, that would be what I'm saying, the blow by blow that I was referring to. Now, we do know in the UK, it came up that when the Australia incident was recorded, that they had another snippet of recording that apparently Amber did call her sister during that incident. So that could be the phone call that she got, that she jumped up about. So she said, I just want to make sure I've got exactly what you recall Whitney saying. So she said, so apparently she threw a bottle. What else? And that it cut off his finger. And firsthand, or that they thought we might have heard from someone else. So this is jump now. The witness, it was, this is Jennifer. The way it was told to me, I assume it was firsthand, but I don't know. So she's not sure who's on the phone telling Whitney, but Jennifer assumed it was Amber telling her. Okay, we've exhausted your recollection about the cutting off the finger in Australia. Yes, ma'am. My entire brain exhausted. Okay, now you also said that there was an incident in which Whitney said that Amber threw a glass of wine at her, correct? Yes, ma'am. And that was at the Tribeca Film Festival? I believe so, yes, ma'am. And do you recall which film was being presented at the Tribeca Film Festival? I believe it was the Adderall Diaries, Jennifer says. Yes, ma'am. Which was James Franco with Amber, correct? Yes, ma'am. And that it was exactly that you recalled Whitney saying. She came back into the office. She often sat in the chairs where I'm telling you about, the black and white ones by the kitchen. And she came back and she added that she and Amber had gotten into a huge fight, and Amber threw a full glass of red wine at her in an elevator. And when did Whitney tell you that? It was, I believe, April-ish of that year. That's usually when the Tribeca is. So I'm assuming around that time. Do you recall what year? It could have been, I think, 2015 as well. Okay. Did Whitney tell you anything else about the argument other than Amber threw a glass of wine at her? No, ma'am. So we're moving on. Are you able to discern whether these are just typical close sister fights that happened with close age sisters? I don't really know how to answer that. She was confiding in me as a friend and talking to me about our personal relationship, and I do not have anyone a year and a half age to me. So I guess that's your point. All right. Did Whitney ever tell you that she had been beaten by Amber? Jennifer, I mean, yes, would be the short answer of that. All right. Let's hear one specifically. This is going to be tough. Hang in there. Jennifer, the way the stories went were that it was her whole life, and I can't give you specifics because, again, she was confiding in me while she lived there, and I listened, and I do understand sibling relationships because I'm close with my sisters. To what she shared with me seemed very extreme based on any experience I've had with friendships or relationships I've had. All right, question. I want you to tell me exactly what was said by Whitney that you consider to be extreme, including when the circumstances were. Jennifer, growing up, she said they were both pretty severely abused and that Amber would take the brunt of it on her behalf, and that she always appreciated that, and where she would take the brunt of it, that when she got mad, that trying to articulate it in the best way I can, because I have deep sympathy for both of them, what Whitney shared with me, that their childhood was extremely abusive, and where Amber would take up for her in those abusive situations that happened to them, then she would also then turn and direct her rage on Whitney later. That's how it was told to me in days. That's the best way I can communicate it. Question. So exactly what words did Whitney use to describe how Amber directed her rage at Whitney? Jennifer, I mean, this was however long ago. She lived with me for 11 months, and it was one story after the next while she was there. She just kind of opened up to me. So I'm giving you a vast generalization of all the stories because I never knew that however many years later I would have to either disclose any of this or share any of this. Question, can you remember any specifics that Whitney told you about Amber turning any type of rage on her? Jennifer, I don't want to misstate specific incidences, stuff that happened with kids in high school on up. She said that. Moving on. Witness, no ma'am, I do not recall. I don't have any idea if they were dating or not. So we're now moving on to something else. Now there's one more thing that you reported in your declaration on your witness statements. You said that Whitney told you that Amber had struck Johnny and that Whitney had tried to interfere in some manner. Do you remember that? Yes, ma'am. Tell me when Whitney told you that. This was when I was trying to put things together. When she came to stay with me, what she said was that one of the main incidences, she said that she had gone up. She was, according to her recollection of the stair incident, she was running up the stairs behind them, trying to stop Amber from attacking Johnny. Amber pushed her down the stairs, according to her, and she said if security guard hadn't been there, she would have probably fallen all the way down. When was this? I'm not sure. Sometimes in March, April, or May. And that's where I said to Adam, I'm not sure if she came to stay with me and then went back to live with them and then came back again in May or not, because I was traveling during that time as well. But whenever she came to stay, she did go back down there some. So that's where I don't know the dates of the incidents, I'm assuming. Yeah. So it was it was chaos in the office. It's really the truth. All of these stories are coming out. It was constant with Whitney sharing all this stuff to the point. Moving on to volume 2. Bear with me. To live at the Eastern Building. She was not. And when she first started working here, Johnny had given her a car as well. And she had a car. So Johnny had allowed her to live in the Eastern Columbia Building, gave her a place to live. And now also we find out gave her a car that he'd given her. It was an orange Dodge car of some sort that she was driving. And she always went on and on about how generous he was for giving her the car and giving her a place to live and how great he was. I think you testified previously that Miss Henriquez would speak often at Art of Elysium offices about her relationship with Miss Heard and her observation of Miss Heard and Mr. Depp's relationship. Fair? Yes. Was there any incident that took place at Art of Elysium in 2015 relating to Mr. Depp and Miss Heard's stay in Australia? And I'm pretty sure Camille is asking the questions now. There was a few, the dog situation after that happened and they were flown back here. The dogs were coming in the office. Whitney had the dogs. She went and took them off work to go she took off from work to go pick them up and then bring them in. So we had the dogs here every day. And that happened. And then the other thing was she was sitting in the office, loudly proclaimed that she had done it now, that she had cut off his finger. And sorry, Miss Howell. I'm just going to try and take this in pieces, okay? Just to make sure the record's clear. Let's talk about the exclamation, and that's the important word. Exclamation is a way to get around hearsay by Miss Heard, Miss Henriquez. I want to understand what happened. Let me see if this is better on this one. Is this on here? Doesn't look like it. Volume 2. Here it is, 273. 273. Thank goodness. So you were in the office that day when Miss Henriquez said something about a finger being cut off. Yeah, I mean, Mr. Chu, they were both objecting over each other. But Camille's asking the questions. Jennifer, to be honest with you, Camille, I was sitting exactly where I'm sitting right now because I'm sitting at my desk in the office. So this is a very visual memory for Jennifer. I'm sitting right here at my computer working in my zone, responding, doing whatever I was doing. And right over there are 2 black and white chairs at the time and a table in between. And Whitney was sitting in one of them, black and white chairs. There's a door that goes out right over there as well. And she just screamed. She's done it now. She's cut off his goddamn finger and made this huge proclamation. And I pushed my chair back and I was like, what? And she goes, she cut off his finger. She cut off his finger. And then she bolted out the door and was like, I got to call somebody. I got to call somebody. And she went out the door and she called someone. I don't know who she called. And that's what she said. Did Miss Henriquez say to you who the she was? It was Amber. And who the he was? It was Amber. It was Amber and Johnny. And she apparently had thrown a bottle and cut off his finger. It is what she reported when she came back in from whoever she talked to outside. So I'm not sure what caused her the initial exclamation. Maybe she just came in, sat down, finishing up the phone call, and then yelled it, or she received a text. But we do know on the audio recordings came out in the UK that Amber Heard did call her sister, talked with her sister, called her sister. So what you heard Miss Henriquez say in the office was she screamed and she said, so that cuts off. Did Miss Henriquez ever show you the message she received? No, she didn't. And I mean, again, just taking my own accountability here where I have failed at certain things. I'm trying my best to keep an office together with this chaos. And that was coming in on a daily basis. And I should have done much better job at it. Looking back at it now, I should have not had this happening in the office. When Miss Henriquez came back into the office, what specifically did she say to you? She said she had thrown a bottle and his finger was cut off. And the she who she was referring to, Amber. And that's it. What we've got is Whitney gave testimony in the UK that she was sleeping on her boss's couch. And that's what set off Jennifer to say, oh, no, you're not going to lie. You're going to tell the truth because I didn't put you on my couch. And that's insulting. I gave you a guest room. And while you stayed with me all these months, you told me all these things about your sister and about Johnny's marriage and how she treated him and how she treated you. And I think it's unfair for you to lie about me and then lie about Johnny on the stand when someone's life is really involved here. So she spoke up. Adam got in touch with her to get a declaration. Whitney got upset. And then Jennifer issued a letter to her. So let's see if we can read this. And this is July 25th, 2020. So this is very soon after Whitney's testimony. Dear Whitney, this is one of the most important letters that I've ever written in my life. I asked to write a letter to you in my own words after receiving 2 subpoenas yesterday to give testimony of my knowledge of what happened, to lead you to stay with me after leaving the Eastern Columbia building and the penthouses of Amber and Johnny. The reason this letter is so important to me is that you, my chosen sister, are so important to me, and I'm hoping to tell that the truth will set you free from a lifetime of abuse and being forced to live someone else's life instead of given the freedom to live your own. I feel that I'm writing this on behalf of everyone who loves you and wants to help save you from yet again fighting a battle that is not yours to fight. Outside of Google alerts for the charity and what is the media circus going on right now, I have been unaware of the ins and outs of what has happened between Amber and Johnny. It was brought to my attention that you made reference to Amber kicking you out of the penthouses and went to live on your boss's floor. I don't think it took them long to connect the dots and figure out who your boss was at the time. I have been trying to catch myself up to speed on everything, and I'm afraid that there were different storylines between what I shared and what you shared. I spoke with Adam Waldman this morning and asked some questions and answered honestly with my account of the situations. Just so you know, Adam was respectful, kind, and understood my allegiance in all of this is to you and you alone. I have never been more upset during any of this drama than I am right now at the thought of Amber asking you to leave Gavin and Hunter to go to London. Gavin's her husband and Hunter's her son, to go to London and entangle you in all this. If you feel you've been asked or compromised in any way to do anything that might perjure yourself, I beg you to recant. And for once in your life, think of yourself first. You have found an incredible man and have this beautiful and amazing child. And if anyone would ever put you in a position to risk that, they do not love you. I have shared the names of other staff at the Art of Elysium who were on board while you were there and heard your accounts of these situations. I'm not sure if they will be subpoenaed, but their names have been submitted for the record. And I hope you know that the little family created during your time at the Art Elysium all love you very, very, very much. It crushes my soul knowing that you may hate me for the rest of my life and never speak to me again. Losing your friendship is something that I'm willing to risk if it frees you, Hunter, and Gavin from all of this and allow you to build your family and your life for you and you alone. You have my every prayer and every thought and every consideration. I stated while being questioned that I do not have dates nor timeline because when you showed up to stay with me, I never thought twice about giving you a home and was happy to provide you with my guest room, have you in the safety of my place. I never wrote down when you moved in nor when you left because my home was and will always be your home. I've entered to record that I'm happy to share any text messages, emails, and anything that they need from me that time to help appropriately piece together specific dates and an accurate timeline. I've offered anything that I can to help shed light on the absolute truth and put an end to this to move on with the next chapter of your life. I promise you that the next chapter will be your best. Things came up during the deposition that Adam are as follows. The incident on the staircase that was one of the inciting events that led you to ask to move in with me. You told me and others on staff that you tried to stop Amber from attacking Johnny and nearly got thrown down the stairs. At no point in time was it ever said to me that Johnny had hit Amber nor abused her in any way. Had you ever expressed concern that Johnny was abusing Amber, I would have gotten a social worker or someone to help you to remove your sister from that situation. I would have done anything to help you in any way. My father reminded me this morning that I told him that Whitney had moved in with me because she was terrified of his sister. While you were living with me, you told me Johnny kept checking in to see how you were doing, and he called you sis, and you called him brother. You said to me on multiple occasions that you did not know why he was staying in it, nor why he was putting up with Amber's abuse. You shared with me the damage endured by both of you as children and the injury you had suffered from Amber, both psychologically and physically. You were devastated during this time, and my heart broke for you. My heart still breaks for you. When you came back from New York, I believe it was the Tribeca Film Festival, the Adderall Diaries premiere, or both, you shared with me and everyone in the office that Amber freaked out, attacked you, and threw a wine glass full of red wine at you in the elevator. Again, my dates are uncertain, but I'm 100% certain of what you shared and have asked a few others who heard it in the office to make sure my facts are accurate. While Amber and Johnny were in Australia, you were in the office sitting in the black and white chairs near the kitchen and loudly proclaimed, "Oh my God, she's done it now. She's cut off his fucking finger." I'm not sure if this was before or after Boo and Pistol were back in the U.S. and coming into the office. Other staff was in the office at that time and might have a better grasp of the date. Now remember, she's reacting right after Whitney's testimony, so she hasn't had a chance to put all her thoughts into dates and stuff at this point. In regards to the extramarital affairs, that's not interesting. I'm not going to get into the Elon stuff. I'm just concerned at this point about how it relates to Jennifer. I asked if it were okay to write to you in my own words because I know how easily things can get distorted and twisted. You know me and know that if subpoenaed or brought into this or anything else, that I would always be honest. I love Amber and have compassion for her because she is your sister, and I know what you guys went through as kids. The two of you have literally been through hell together, and I know you would do anything in the world for her. She is your older sister, and you lost your mother, and you are a mom for the first time. It is time she thought of you and your needs and put them above her own needs. Asking you or even agreeing to have you leave your husband and child to involve you in this is selfish and beyond comprehension. You, Whitney, are worthy of love and worthy of being seen for all of your light and beauty and worthy of not having to clean up another mess that is not yours. During the social change movements, Me Too, Time's Up, Black Lives Matter, and all the actions working to set the scales of justice back to being well, just people have to be willing to come forward with the truth. It took 2 subpoenas to get me to be forthcoming with what I have been told, but I do believe in people and feel others who bear witness in all this will also step up and speak their truth. Whitney, I just want you to be somewhere your husband and child and living your life and not be concerned with all this. You deserve that. I love you very much, Jennifer. This is a powerful letter. And it's Jennifer conveying things that Whitney told her, which is hearsay, but they can question Whitney. So this is now an email to Whitney. I think I can go a little bit smaller with this. I have just given the statement you made about me to go to press. Wow, Whitney. If you want to call me a liar while you were lying under oath, then I promise you I will prove in every way that I am not lying. You questioning my integrity, my honesty, the sincerity that I take with my word is desperate at best. Again, there are 20 plus people that have heard everything you said. I have opened my home, heart, life to you and have never been anything but honest and loving with you. I let you in when you told me you needed to be protected from your sister. I love you and I'm doing everything in my power to do what is right for you. And you call me a liar? Wow. This is July 28th. And this is the same day. Oh, hi. So this is Whitney going, hi, Jennifer Howell. Love and miss you too. Sorry for the delay in the UK at present. So the time difference is a bitch. What's new with you? Hey, Judge and Sister, I'm so sorry for the late text. As you know, I'm in the UK court. Can you please call me when you have a chance when you wake up? I've gotten some calls. Oh. I've gotten some calls from the Sun's legal team about you possibly getting involved in giving evidence to JD's team. I told the Sun there's no way this could be true, which is what I think Jennifer was referring to. But I just wanted to talk to you no matter what. I love you. So Jennifer finally looks like she gets the message and she's responding. You are my chosen sister, and I love you with my entire heart. I was served 2 subpoenas yesterday. I was questioned and just told them the truth as I know it. I would never lie in any court proceeding or anything else. My one and only concern in any of this is you. I have a letter I have written to you, which we've read, and I'm giving it to you tomorrow. I hope you know how much I love you, and protecting you is something I know I will do now and always. I'm sorry for this, not clear, but this is all I've got. Jennifer, why wouldn't you talk to me first? Adam Walden is a vindictive liar who is trying to bring down my family and willing to do anything to do so. He can and will use anything you say, good or bad, to hurt us. Jen, there's no way you would serve 2 subpoenas. That's not true. I mean, Whitney wouldn't know that. So that's where we're on that. So Jennifer was subpoenaed for declaration, or to give the deposition and to provide any communications she had. Again, she's only be able to talk about what Whitney told her. And that's why they're having such a hard time getting all of this into the trial. But I can tell you what Amber Heard people did immediately was to fight the subpoena. They fought it tooth and nail. And one of the things they said, now Jennifer lives in California. So when a subpoena is served, because she's a resident in California, any arguments they have will be taken care of in California court, which is what happened. So they filed in California saying, hey, we were never properly served this subpoena. And we found this because it came out when they were suing, when Johnny was going after the ACLU, it came out in those court documents. And this is how we found it. And that's why it says New York up here. Cogger is Amber Heard's attorney in California. Is it your argument that counsel for Ms. Heard on the proof of service did not receive this notice of deposition? That's correct, Your Honor. In fact, not only that, but my firm isn't even listed or identified here. I know, but do they have to be? The court is asking. I'm counsel of record. Counsel of record in the Virginia action. We're not counsel of record in Virginia. No. The court says, okay, so why is counsel of record in Virginia action not sufficient for notice with respect to this deposition? Now, we've seen all the subpoenas were issued out of Fairfax. Well, they weren't served with it. Well, why do you have to be on the notice of proof of service? Because that's what we've done throughout this case. This is a California subpoena, and we're entitled to be on it, just as we've done with them on every subpoena we've issued in this case. And they generally served us with documents. Not lately, they haven't, but they were entitled to do that. They were entitled, not required. The point of the matter is, but Mr. Depp's counsel, so they broke off. Washington D.C. issues a subpoena, not Mr. Presidio's form. Isn't that correct? That's correct. That subpoena was required to be issued from the Virginia case, and it was in fact issued by Judge White. Cogger. And Your Honor, this is John Cogger. But Mr. Cogger, quick question. Did you give me a declaration from counsel on the Virginia matter that they didn't get notice? No, Your Honor. Okay, so this is being argued in New York City. It's part of Mr. Merriam's declaration. Your Honor, the deposition subpoena includes a California subpoena, which was issued by Mr. Presidia. So why can't this court find that Ms. Heard's counsel of record is on this notice? So it would be one thing if nobody on behalf of Ms. Heard was on the proof of service, but there is counsel listed here. There's not only counsel, there's two different counsel here for Heard. There are the proof of service for this, and also, well, there's more than that. There's Wood and Rogers counsel, phonetic spelling. It looks like there's another firm here in Reston, Virginia. Then there's also Charleston. So they were all served this. And they're so panicked in California trying to quash Jennifer Howell's subpoena any way they can that they're basically lying, saying, well, they're supposed to notify California. Well, no, they're really not. So you're saying that the court cannot find that a counsel of record in Virginia was served, that it's not sufficient? Is that your argument? Well, in part. But as noted in the declaration of Mr. Merriam, our counsel in this case found out about the subpoena by checking the court document via service, and they've indicated they've never been included and identified in the proof of service. And they have not affirmatively stated in any of their pleadings or their opposition that they have served either the Virginia counsel via proof of service as required to the witness. Depp's lawyer is now going to address it. That's just simply not the case. The court has referred to a proof of service. They've denied that. Well, they denied that we've received it, but I think it's important to look at the proof that they presented in that denial. They presented a declaration of Mr. Merriam, California counsel, attesting to Virginia's counsel contention that they did not receive the documents. That is, in and of itself, inadmissible because it's hearsay. It also begs the question, why didn't Virginia counsel present a declaration saying that they weren't served with it? So they really don't have any proof in front of them. Why do I have to make these things smaller to make them a little bigger? Most important point, our Exhibit 1 of our opposition clearly shows that it was emailed to Virginia counsel also 15 days before the return date on the subpoena. Only 10 days notice is required. So there's actually 2 points in time where this was served on opposing counsel. The first point in time, they deny that it actually happened, but they don't present any evidence establishing that. They present hearsay evidence when they could have easily produced the declaration of Virginia counsel saying that they didn't receive it. Second, it was in fact emailed, our Exhibit 1 to our opposition 15 days before the return. So the judge is like, I'm not buying this crap at all. You were served, done and done and done. So Amber Heard's team did file a petition to stop the deposition of non-party Jennifer Howell and to quash the subpoena altogether. They also filed to do the same thing with the Children's Hospital, and this is the judge's ruling. And this is on October 29th. That date's going to be important. You'll see that they're fighting to stop the subpoena that Depp's team issued. Please take notice that petitioner and defendant Amber Laura Heard petition to stay deposition of non-party Jennifer Howell and to quash subpoena ducis tecum. That's a subpoena with document request. request for sanctions. The Howell petition and Miss Howell's petition also the same with Children's Hospital. And these are the people who appeared for them. Would have been Brown and Rudnick, was Leo, Camille. Miss Heard was represented by Gordon Reese Scully, by Kristen Blocker and John Cogger. After hearing argument of counsel, the court issues a minute order, a copy of which is attached. The Howell petition is denied in its entirety. An award of sanctions is against Miss Heard and her attorneys, Craig Merriam, Cogger, and Blotcher, jointly and severally in connection with the Howell petition in the amount of $4,290.50, payable in 30 days. Well, the same thing happened with Cha. That was also denied, and they were also sanctioned. So things didn't go so well for Miss Heard in California. But she wasn't happy with that. She decided to appeal it. So she appeals it, and the judge is not happy and says, excuse me, no, I followed through all this, and I find this completely disingenuous. And why is that? Because Amber Heard issued her own subpoena to Jennifer Howell on September 8th, long before she was filing to stop this. So the judge was not happy, obviously. Not happy at all. Poor Jennifer, she's been dragged through this. She's been threatened, she claims. I think she said her house was broken, her apartment was broken into. She posted stuff on Instagram. She said that other employees at Art Elysium were pressured into not testifying, but in the end, they were able to question Whitney enough to get some of Jennifer's testimony in, but not all of it. This is going back quite a ways. I was recently subpoenaed into a court case to tell the truth, and I did so. Verdict came down on Monday, and the actual truth was destroyed by an unjust system. I share this now because I want to have faith in truth, dignity, love, and integrity, and ultimate winning. My heart has been broken during this process as I've lost faith in so many people who have claimed to be moral and good, yet lack the integrity to tell the truth when it might be inconvenience for them. I think this is after the Sun verdict. Those same people have contacted old employees of the charity and told them not to speak to attorneys and to dodge subpoenas, have questioned my integrity for actually telling the truth when I was called to do so, and much more. Heartbreaking to lose faith in people. I write this as I'm trying not to lose faith in humanity, in justice, and in the greater good, and I feel my experience is a microcosm of what is playing out in this election. Truth and goodness have to win in the end. Praying, and we know it did. We know it finally did win in the end. Again, I'm concentrating on just the unsealed sections of this for this video. I want to thank you all for listening in. This was a bit of a longer one, and I'll leave you with, Whitney was not happy when Jennifer was given her testimony. And that's where I will leave it. Thank you all for watching. Look at that face. She was so pissed. I wanted to highlight how hard it was for Jennifer. After all the pressure she was obviously getting, her employees were being pressured, and she stood strong and she stood up. And she did say that Adam Waldman treated her respectfully and understood that she was trying to protect Whitney, but she came out with the truth, and we know it. And a little bit of that was picked up by the media, not very much, not as much as we would have liked, but there you have it. And I hope if you're ever faced with having to stand up like Jennifer did, that you find that strength. And it reminds me of what Johnny said at a art festival, a film festival he was at last year. And he said, one small person can make a difference. You just keep chipping away and chipping away. And if you know someone who needs you, he said, stand up, don't sit down, stand up and speak up if you know something. And that's what we've all been doing in this community, haven't we? That's what we've all been doing. So I know this isn't necessarily new news, but it is part of the series I'm doing. And I want to thank you all for sticking by me. Go ahead, like, share, subscribe, all those clicky buttons. I do have a PayPal tip jar in my About. I'll put it in the description below. I appreciate some of these documents that I did present today. I cannot put them down, a link to, because I paid for them. So you would just hit a dead link without having my account. But I'll try and put some more in there for more reading. And thank you all, and have a great day.